This is a really hard question. Not about the arts degree, I'll come back to that. But if you're trying to encourage students coming into higher education what to choose, surely we would say pick something which is partly your passion, but also something which will sustain you in your career and enable you to have a family and the life that you hope for some security. So I guess the classic example is a music degree. Someone who's absolutely passionate about music, should they do a music degree or should they play the piano on the side and go do a pharmacy degree? And many parents, and that comes from a true story of course, many parents I know have counselled the student to go and do the pharmacy degree because that will be your day job, if you like. Now, as someone who's had an arts education, and that's like a liberal arts education, literature, languages and so on, I couldn't possibly discourage anyone from having the sort of education I had. I know it's not as popular anymore, it's not as prominent, but I wouldn't trade the education I had for anything with anyone. And I would say that a person doing a general education these days, an arts degree or a general science degree, in many ways has some advantages. Because if I do go and become an accountant or a pharmacist or an engineer, sure, I can do a whole range of things. But as an arts or general education graduate, I can probably work across many, many fields because I have generic skills, maybe that are even more sharply honed than some of the more professionally oriented colleagues. We need accountants, engineers, nurses, obviously, but we need people to work alongside them. So I guess what I did in my undergraduate education was, if I draw on literature as an example, I almost had to confine myself to a piece of evidence, which is a work of literature, or several of them, be given a hypothesis, and be asked to argue a case for or against, drawing on any of the evidence within the literature and beyond that I could come up with. So almost to make a case out of a very limited piece of information. And I think that's extremely good, as are many other fields, for honing critical thinking and communication skills, particularly written communication. Now, whether that works for everyone, I don't really know. But I think that's a very precious education to have. And I have to say, it also gave me a background in Western culture, which is the culture that we come out of. So I would never discourage anyone from doing a more general education. But if I were teaching in that field now, I would, as I said before about assessment, I think I would be more focused on the outcomes, the students' future, and how they could apply the skills that they were actually learning to making themselves more employable. Because I think we all know as employers, finding people who can really communicate well and communicate brilliantly in writing, that's quite a gift these days. Not everyone has it. So I think there's much to be gained. But then I think there's a great deal to be gained from education all round. It doesn't matter what kind, it's never wasted. But if you can make the education work for you and help you to be employable and have a career and move ahead in your life as you want to, that's what we're here for.